Okay, so this is I think it's quite literally, or no, actually not literally. It's close to the latest I've actually gotten up. Or no, actually, this is the latest I've actually gotten up, but it's not the latest I've been out here. I had a really late night last night. I couldn't sleep, and I suppose you'll hear the story from yesterday. So like the second half of the day, if you will. Once my current video that I have uploading, finally uploads, for those who wish to take the time to hear about all my drama. But it's day 138 at Nofap, and I woke up at literally at 6. I know I had the alarms going off, and I did wake up for those, but then I turned some of them off. Somehow I don't know how this happened, but I somehow turned them off and slept through to 6 a.m. And I woke up and I was looking, I was like, really, is this really 6 a.m.? It can't be 6 a.m. I know I was, so I got out of bed. Luckily, there were no issues nocturnal emissions or anything like that, which would have meant, that I would have need to do a bit extra in order to be ready to go. But I rolled out of bed, got my cup of coffee going, got that. I already had pretty much everything I needed, packed away in the bag, or my jacket was laying on top of the bag, and I had everything that I needed, so I just basically grabbed it and went. And didn't really check much or do much else. I just got out of the house, so now I'm on the road. I know I'm gonna be late, and it's not gonna be so late that it's sort of the end of the world or whatever. Probably just a few minutes at most. And it obviously depends upon if I can weave my way through traffic and push the speed up. But I'm kind of the mindset now that I don't really. It's not just my workplace, but just life in general. I'm not really willing to sort of be rushing like that, even if I know I'm going to be late, because like I mentioned, I think it was probably one of the other videos, but the whole getting 2 speeding tickets and not wanting to risk getting pulled over by a cop just so I can try and be at a certain place at a certain time. If I'm going to do that, try to be at a certain place at a certain time, then the key thing is to be in bed by a certain time, up by a certain time, so I'm not having to rush. So if I'm if I'm running late, I'm running late, and I guess got to deal with that. Because I didn't do what would have been necessary to be on time. But of course there's the aspect of it where I'm just kind of if I could get a better position, I'm gonna have to try and last here for at least another month or two, maybe more than that, before I really get back to looking for another spot, because I kind of figured out that I don't like working at this place, to put it lightly. I mean, there are worse jobs out there, don't get me wrong. I don't gotta clean out sewers, I don't have to etc. I mean, I don't really think I have to come up with examples per se. I'm sure people have sort of images in their mind of, okay, here's a really bad job where I don't have to work in some sort of factory overseas where they're paying me 2 cents every hour, and yelling at me and driving me like a slave, and then I want to jump out the side of the building. It's not like that, but relative to where I'm living and relative to all the concerns I have, I mean, I could sum it up as saying stuff like, #MeToo, or what else? I mean, whatever term or terminology you want to use to describe, like, concerns related to that, or just the current climate we live in economically, with COVID and such, like, and the manufacturing culture, the company culture, etc., like, it's the kind of job I don't like right now. And if I don't like it right now, like, it's kind of like, well, what are you going to think about it in, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months? It's just still here. Especially with, again, I'll refer to my video that's uploading, especially with a lot of the stuff that I'm describing in that. It's almost like I feel a bit of dread going into work every day. Like, oh, who am I going to have to deal with today? What am I going to have to face now? It's going to be some hostile coworker who's annoyed that he or she has to train the new guy. Is it going to be somebody being schmarmy because, like, their perspective on life is that of some spoiled brat, daddy's a little princess, mommy's a little prince, who's never really had to deal with any setbacks in life or any sort of inconveniences. Is there going to be some workplace romantic stuff, where there's like drama between co-workers because, two guys are into the same girl, and even though it's supposed to be a workplace, you're not supposed to be getting into that kind of stuff for obvious reasons. Certain people think that they're above the rules or the laws, or whatever you want to call it. They can go and do that and, not have, bad things happen to them. Things of that nature, like, that kind of stuff causes me that kind of dread or that kind of anxiety, because it's just like, okay, this is what I don't need, But anyways, last night, and I think that was, that was after I recorded the video. I was like laying in my bed, trying to unwind, and because of some of the stuff that had happened during the day, which again I described in the video, I just couldn't, I couldn't relax, I couldn't sleep, and again I go into that stuff, in other videos, so I'm not really gonna go into any real detail right now, but because of that stuff, like I said, I couldn't sleep, couldn't really relax or unwind, and I had some sort of loose ends that I wanted to tie up, so I took a shower, got dressed again, headed out to my car, and headed back to work, and I left around got on the road, rather. We got on the road around 8:30 p.m. and I drove back, so it was about half an hour. So I got there around 9, and I stayed until about 11, and I just took care of some loose ends and did some work, and I got some extra hours. I added that to my time card, but since the way things are set up, you can't go and say, okay, I left let's say 3:30 and I came back at 9. You can't do that. So I just basically put it in as if I stayed till like 5:30. But I got all the maintenance stuff done. I signed off on that. There were some entry errors because I was just tired, and I almost put down the 14th of March as opposed to the 4th of March. So I don't know if I'm gonna get some get some guff about that, then I'll have to explain. I tried to make that clear in my little notations or whatever, footnotes, but took care of all the maintenance stuff. Went to the lab that I'm quote unquote in charge of, and I checked the supplies and flipped the Kanban cards on that. I'd originally been towards the end of the day there to help prepare some boxes for the next day's builds, but I got through some of them, but I didn't fully set them up before I left. So if I hear about that, I'll hear about that. But again, I explained in my my videos, those folks who will watch it, why that was the case. And I just kind of felt like I had to get out of there, and it was sort of the end of my official day. Any extra time would have been like, literal overtime, and at the time that I was feeling like just, I was feeling pretty tired. Ironically enough, like I said, I got home and I couldn't sleep, and I was just like, too awake. So then I went back there, and I don't know, I was way more efficient and effective when I was just completely alone. When there weren't people around to like be bringing like garbage into my sort of my realm, if you will. So I took care of all the stuff I needed to take care of, and we'll see how this day goes. I mean, it's literally like the last day of the week, and I'm really looking forward to just being home right now. Being home on the weekend and having another paycheck coming, and this one, I do my 8 hours a day, or if I do end up having to stay, late for whatever reason, I do that stuff. Truth be told, I'll have over 100 hours of pay, which is about 20 hours extra, 20 hours of overtime. So I'm looking forward to a sizable paycheck. I mean, obviously taxes are going to take out a chunk, and then whatever's left over, there's going to be some other costs, like I'll have to pay for rent and things of that nature before I am able to sort of see the money that I can use to take a big debt, chunk out of my debt. But if I end up having enough, I mean, I might be able to get caught up on my, debt payment goals, which we'll have to see. We'll have to see how much I can throw at those, because I really want to try and get back on track. And it's ironic, I mean, I really do sound like a 30 or 40-something year old, talking about debt all the time, and payments and bills and all that kind of stuff. When I was in my mid-20s, for the most part, it wasn't really about that. And I think it's one of the things that makes it really hard for me to sort of relate to or get in with the crowd that I'm surrounded by, especially if you throw some attractive women in the mix, and she's in her early to mid-20s, and she's got her early to mid-20s, average girl perspective on things, or maybe the sheltered daddy's little princess perspective on things, especially if you throw in some sort of cultural baggage from being from a non-majority, sort of background. And it's definitely a big wall between me and my coworkers, me and any girl I'm interested in, because and it's ironic as well, because back in the day, my pops would always tell me, that you should go for a girl who's younger than you. And he was giving his perspective, and it turned out that he was right, Ironic. And my dad knew a thing or two, ironic. But, I'd say it's even more ironic because I would always be like, no, Dad, I'm going to go for a girl who's my age, or around my age or so, it's weird to go for a younger girl, Dad, that wouldn't work, or whatever. I'll give him guff about it. But, when you get to my age and you look around and you see the girls who are in their 30s, early to mid 30s, maybe even later, even if some of them still have their physical attractiveness, there's just something off about most of them. because, they've been around the block in however many relationships, and obviously you're never going to get an accurate count as to how many that was or how many guys they've been with. And it's almost like it goes beyond the being a virgin versus not being a virgin. It's something, deeper than that. And people have tried to quantify it, describe it in words. And, some folks are better at that than others. I'm not going to claim to be sort of like the master of that, But whether you want to look at literal like factors, like whether the woman has some other man's children, or she's just been through so many like ups and downs in relationships and like breakups, and guys walking out on her, or her I don't know, dumping guys, or whatever the case may be. You realize like maybe you as a guy don't want that. You don't want to be with someone who's around your age bracket, because like it's different. It's different for guys and girls. Though at the same time, when I sit here and I say like, oh, I'm not looking for anything. I just want to be alone. I want to pay off all my debts and buy 50 acres in the middle of nowhere and build a cabin out in the middle of the woods, that sort of thing, and just live there. I mean, can't say that similar things haven't affected me, in some way, but if it came down to like choice of long-term partner, like I would not be going for a woman around my age. It just wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. Or older, it just wouldn't work. And I'm able to say that as far as Nofap is concerned, I'm able to say stuff like that and really think about that because of how far I've, gotten with, not just Nofap, but life in general, but, in this case, Nofap in particular. Like I think it was 3 Rhinos a while back, he asked me about like PMO-induced fetishes. And honestly, like I feel like as a guy, for the most part, you can only really be into certain things, like massive age differences and stuff like that, especially where the woman is like, older than you. Really, if you're heavily engaged in a PMO, it's just not your natural inclination as a guy. Whether we want to deal with this or not as a society, it's just, it's not the functional way, I guess. And, some of it has to do with the fact that as a guy, usually it's going to take you some time to gain the kind of competency, knowledge, resources, strength, status, money, what have you, that you will need to be able to sort of do your due diligence as a man in a relationship with a woman. If you're some 20-something-year-old, I mean, maybe at that point it's more about the optics, and if you're in great shape and you're like a smooth operator, you can get that sort of stuff. But if it's anything longer term, in all likelihood, unless you're like making significant progress, it's something that it's far easier for a guy in his 30s who's spent the last decade and a half building himself up and getting his ish together, so to speak, to be able to sort of do that sort of stuff. And at the same time, like on the opposite end of things, and I know I'm in many ways sort of regurgitating a lot of what Rollo Tomasi and Rich Cooper and others have talked about, but I'm also trying to relate this to my own experience. So I guess the relating to my own experience would be like something of the original part, sort of the theory and the practice, or the theory and the application. But I mean, as I get older, I see more of the truth of this, that, if you're looking for a girl who's in her, like, prime, I'm sorry, but she's probably not going to be around your age if you're in your 30s. And obviously, it sucks if you're a guy in your 20s and, you find some girl in her prime who's in your age bracket, your age group, your generation, and she just ain't interested in you, Or what sucks even more, and this is like my experience, if you are in the right age bracket and she's in the right age bracket, but you don't have what you would be expected to have as a 30-something-year-old guy in order to be able to attract and keep that kind of girl around, that sucks even more, because maybe you got held back in life, or stuff happened that impaired your ability to get your ish together, especially if it's having to do with like family or so-called friends, But anyways, it's about 3 minutes telling you to be in there, and I'm almost at the exit, so who knows? Maybe I'll actually get there on time. But let me see. And I need to get over, and getting over now. Okay. So I'm right in the right lane to take the exit. But, man. See, one of the bad things about, like, waking up this late is that, like, since I'm in such a hurry, I can't really go and use the restroom when I get up, so I'm gonna have to do that work, and hopefully, I checked the schedule, and the guy I'm working with is the one who was questioning why I was even at this company way back when it started, and, hopefully, if I just let him know that I'm gonna go use the restroom, he's not gonna be, like, flipping with me. But, dang. I don't even know how I've made it this far at this place. I really don't. Maybe Nofap is a large part of it. And I had to say that, it probably is. If I hadn't started off, this job with about a month of Nofap under my belt, I probably would have gotten myself axed, a long time ago, because I would have been way more outwardly anxious and acting out, spazzing out and all that kind of stuff in front of people, and would have probably been just way less disciplined with, like, managing any of my time, being up, even as late as I woke up today. I mean, I would have been in a lot better, or a lot worse state, in terms of, like, being up by a certain time, being in bed by a certain time, being cognizant of the work I need to do, whatever. I would have been way worse than that. And just, like, really off in a lot of my behavior, or the general vibe I'd be giving off. I mean, at the old place, whenever I'd end up, relapsing, and I'd have like a week or two, even if I got back on some significant streak, I would have a week or two where I was just, like, just socially awkward, anxious. I would definitely get on my coworkers' nerves, and sometimes they would, like, snap at me and, like, yell at me or something like that, or we would have hostility. But when I'd be, like, on a long streak of Nofap, like, I was, like, on my mission, focused, mentally, emotionally balanced, etc., etc. And so, like, I could definitely tell that, like, okay, things are going smooth right now, and, I'm vibing with my coworkers and that sort of thing. But like I said, PMOing would just really mess things up. So maybe Nofap is, for me, is like this big reason why I have been able to last even this long here. In spite of my complaints, in spite of the hostility, in spite of, having sort of difficulty adapting to the company culture and their way of doing business and all that, probably would have been like way the heck worse. Heck, I probably wouldn't have been able to pull off that interview that I pulled off with the company, which was at like 9 a.m. on that day. And it was just like an hour after I'd gotten home from a 12-hour shift. I was somehow able to be like awake enough that I was able to, do that and pick up this job. So, it's just kind of something that I, was like surprised I was able to do. But anyways, so I'm gonna park actually relatively close to the building. Anyways, yeah, I'm looking at the lines. Anyways, just a couple minutes late. Whoa, I need to watch which gear I have my car in before I let go of the brake. You can tell I'm out of it. Not really as awake as I usually am. But anyways, like I said, gonna head in now. And take care of what lies ahead of me. So I'll see you folks around. Stay 138 Nofap. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.